What up guys, it's Dom and welcome back to another movie review. Today we are going to be continuing the X-Men franchise with X-Men The Last Stand. X-Men The Last Stand, released in 2006, directed by Brett Ratner, and this is the third installment in the X-Men series. Let's just get right into the 10 essential aspects of a movie. The first essential aspect is plot. So I both liked and disliked the plot of this movie. I thought it was a good segue from the first two films. I thought it was a good continuation because the military made the cure and of course it was turned into a weapon. I think that is the realistic next step from where the past movies left off. But I hated how hypocritical the entire movie was no matter whose side you were on. The X-Men they were so against the cure, by no means necessary. Are they going to partake in the cure in any way? And now they're using the cure in battle during the movie. Like, what is that? You just said that you hate the cure and it should never be used as a weapon. It should never be used, period, because being a mutant is not a disease. And yet you are using it in battle. And then Magneto, part of the Mutant Brotherhood, now his whole thing is mutants must stick together. And one of his, I'm not going to spoil it, but one of his mutants that he's close with gets hit with the cure and suddenly he doesn't care at all. Leave him in the dust. Who cares? Like, that's crazy. I get that they're no longer a mutant, but at the same time, you are so close with them. There's no reason why just them losing their abilities should be a big enough change for you to just ditch them and just, you're gone. Police can arrest you. Who cares? We're not saving you. Like, what is that? Like, that's not brotherhood. That's just dictatorship at this point. Like, Magneto needs to calm down with that. Like, that was insane. And another big issue I had with this plot was the unnecessary loss. There was so much loss in this movie. It was insane. And almost all of the loss that was in this movie was pointless. It did not impact the plot at all. Even if those didn't happen, the plot would have still stayed similar. So I just feel like it was pointless to add, like, yes, you want a movie to pull at your heartstrings and kind of hit that emotional level, but not that many times, man. I mean, it was like so many consecutive times where it's just like, well, shit, great. I was happy with this movie and now I'm sad. So, like, I don't know. I just feel like they could have structured that a lot better and wrote that a little better. The second essential aspect is attraction. So obviously this movie was very entertaining because, I mean, it's mutants. You get to see so many powers, so many new mutants in this movie too. Juggernaut, Multiple Man, Beast, and Phoenix. So it was always cool to see them use their powers in a fight or just in general. Like, there's this one scene where Multiple Man absolutely bamboozled a bunch of army guys by pretending to be a massive group of people when it was just one guy at the end. That was awesome to see.
Okay, I give up.
So yeah, of course, this is an X-Men movie. It's always going to be entertaining because you get scenes like that. The third essential aspect is theme. So the theme is the same in this as it was in the past two movies. Of course, mutant rights. However, I feel like there was another theme in this that was loss is inevitable. That there's no way for you to avoid total loss in your life. You're always going to lose something no matter what. No one lives through their entire life without experiencing loss. And in this movie, a lot of loss. So yeah, I feel like those are the two major themes in this movie. The fourth essential aspect is dialogue. So, I mean, the conversations felt real. There's not really much to talk about it for that. It did feel like real characters talking to each other. And the scenes where Jean Grey was talking to people in their heads, those were the more special dialogue that I did enjoy, because there was sometimes where Logan was just walking into a room and suddenly you just hear it in like the background where you don't even know if he heard it, but you did hear his name being called by Jean Grey. That was cool. And of course the iconic line by Vinnie Jones, "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch."
Don't you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
The fifth essential aspect is acting. So the cast is pretty much the same as the first two X-Men movies. I mean, other than a few characters added here and there that weren't really major roles. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that. However, Hugh Jackman did a great job as Wolverine in this one. It almost felt like a Wolverine movie because how much the movie relied on his good acting, because he had so many emotional scenes that he had to nail it to a T in order for it to look good. And he did. He did a great job. And a side note, Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen de-aged does not look real. I hated that entire scene when I saw them de-aged in the beginning of the movie. Other than that, I mean, they did fine. The sixth essential aspect is cinematography. So this movie definitely had some cinematography. All of Jean Grey's scenes when she's in her full strength Phoenix form are insane. Like, just everything floating around her and disintegrating off, like the walls breaking apart, the floor, the ceiling. Like, that was really cool to see. And honestly, the ending was also pretty emotional. I mean, it was really hard for Wolverine to commit to what he had to do. And honestly, I think that part the movie did really well. The seventh essential aspect is editing. This movie is an hour and 44 minutes long. I mean, it's okay. I mean, it does what it needs to do. The pacing is good. It wraps up the story well without leaving any plot holes, so I think the editing's fine. The eighth essential aspect is soundtrack. So other than the X-Men theme, of course, like in all these movies, there wasn't really anything special. I will give them credit that the emotional scenes did hit hard, especially with the music. They chose a perfect tone for the background music to really make you feel those emotions go right out of the screen right to you. So I'll give them props for that. That one was good soundtrack. The ninth essential aspect is directing. So Brett Ratner is the director of this film, and his job is to take these previous 8 essential aspects, put them together to make a movie that's worth watching. Now, I think he did good. He didn't do amazing. Like, this definitely isn't one of the better X-Men movies. However, he did a good job where I would still rewatch this movie, and especially since he just contributed to the X-Men franchise. So honestly, he did a good job. Unless this movie absolutely bombed, he really couldn't really mess it up that bad with this cast that he had. But he has directed 6 previous movies, and they were Money Talks, Rush Hour, The Family Man, Rush Hour 2, Red Dragon, and After the Sunset. So other than Rush Hour 1 and 2, I don't really know any of these movies. I know that the Rush Hours did do well, and after the reviews that I saw, the other ones really did okay. And this one's kind of in between them. Like, it's not just okay, but it's also not, great. So I feel like he was kind of in the middle of his previous movies. And the 10th essential aspect is time. So I think this movie does stand the test of time only because it is part of one of the bigger movie franchises. Of course, if it wasn't a part of that, I don't know if it would. It would probably be on the fence. I mean, this movie is 18 years old as of the recording of this video. So it has been out for some time. And I mean, it's still talked about. Now, if that's only because it's part of the franchise, who knows? But I think in the world that we live in, it does stand the test of time. We are on to the reviews. So the reviews for this movie were pretty average, I'd say. The Rotten Tomatoes critics give it a 57. The Rotten Tomatoes audience gave it a 61, and IMDb gave him a 66. Now, I personally have to be probably in between the audience and IMDb. I don't think it needs to be below 60 because it's still a good movie. I'd probably still rewatch it. But especially since it elevates the plot that has been going for the past 2 movies, I think that makes it a slightly better movie. Even though it standalone is not the best movie, I think because it still has, like, it's part of a series, it did a good job continuing in a realistic way. So I feel like that at least puts it up a little bit. And finally, the rankings. All right, the part you have all been waiting for very patiently. Where will X-Men The Last Stand rank in its year, decade, and in all time? So let's get right at it. In 2006, it is the only movie I've reviewed, so it will take the first position easily enough. Now, in the 2000s, it's going to rank 3rd under X-Men. Now, X-Men, I feel like, is just the same movie but better. The plot is similar because it is, of course, this movie is a continuation of that original plot. So the plot is going to be basically the same. If not, this one has slightly worse just because of the way they were hypocritical of the whole thing. I just hated that, so that obviously put it below for me. Honestly, if they removed that part of it, I probably would have ranked this one above X-Men, just because I love the cinematography in this movie. But either way, it will take that third position. And now for all time. So, it's going to be fifth, under X-Men and above If. Now, I just explained why it's worse than X-Men, so I'm not going to waste your time with that. Now, the reason I would watch it again before If is, personally, If was, it was a good movie. I would rewatch it. However, it is more targeted towards children, so I just enjoyed myself watching X-Men The Last Stand more, just because, one, I really connect with these characters because I'm a huge Marvel fan. But besides that point, I just feel like it's a better movie. I feel like If had a lot of dull moments, and there was never really a dull moment. There was some aggravating moments in this movie, but never really a dull moment, at least not dull enough for me to really call it out on it. So, that's all I have for X-Men The Last Stand. If you guys liked this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and make sure to comment what movie you want me to review next. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace out.